Everyone wants to own a laundromat right now. You see people like Cody Sanchez talking about boring businesses, calling laundromats recession-proof, semi-passive, cash-flowing businesses. And they are not wrong. And yes, I am a physician who purchased a laundromat. Being a physician is not required. But there is one thing that people don't talk about enough, is not everyone can buy a laundromat because not everyone has the money or financing strategy to do it correctly. So today I want to walk you through every realistic way to finance a laundromat, including exactly how we financed ours, what worked, what didn't, and what banks actually care about. Now, laundromats have existed since the 1930s, long before home washers and dryers were common. Renters often don't have in-unit laundry. Urban density supports shared services, so laundry demand does not disappear in recessions. And we also have to zoom out to talk about why laundromats still work in today's economy. We live in a world of convenience. People outsource house cleaning, grocery shopping, meal prep, food delivery. Time has become more valuable than ever. And laundromats are evolving the same way. The most profitable stream of income for modern laundromats is not just self-serve machines. It is pickup and delivery. This service meets people where they are, serves busy professionals and families, and creates recurring revenue that allows for higher margins than self-serve alone. That's why laundromats are often described as recession-resistant, predictable, cash flow focused. But a low failure rate does not mean easy to buy. The capital still matters. And when we modeled our business, pickup and delivery was a key part of the long-term strategy, not an afterthought. And that mattered to lenders because banks don't just fund what exists today, they fund where the business is going. So let's talk about the first option that doesn't include a bank. The simplest option is buying a laundromat entirely with cash. This can mean cash for acquisition, cash for renovations, cash for new equipment. The pros of cash is there are no interest fees, no lender oversight, and full control. Cons, it ties up large amounts of capital, is less liquidity for surprises, and you have slower scaling. In our case, my husband and I had enough cash to acquire the laundromat itself, but we did not want to use all of our cash for renovations. That's where financing came in. Now let's talk about seller financing. Seller financing means the seller becomes the lender, and this can be partial seller financing or in rare cases, 100% seller financing. Sellers sometimes prefer this because they avoid a large taxable lump sum. They receive a steady income over time, and they just want the business off their hands. There are some downsides of seller financing: higher interest rates, shorter repayment terms, large monthly payments, and seller restrictions on operations or renovations. And it often includes personal guarantees. For our laundromat, we did 70% in cash and 30% seller financing with a term of 2 years. Seller financing is real and it's viable, but it's not free money. Another viable way to finance a laundromat is through private investors. And yes, this includes your friends and your family. And I actually sent a few text messages to my friends to see what they were actually willing to invest in our business venture. This is actually closer to seller financing than most people realize. In this structure, you are borrowing capital from individuals instead of a bank. You formalize the agreement with a promissory note. Payments are structured over time, just like a loan. This is something we consider seriously and structured similar to seller financing. So let's just take a pause for a second and discuss what is a promissory note. A promissory note is a legal document that clearly states how much money is being loaned, the interest rate, the repayment schedule, the term of the loan, and what happens if payments are missed. This protects both sides. It avoids confusion, emotional strain, and vague expectations. If you are borrowing from people you care about, clarity is not optional. Friends and family may be willing to invest with you because they trust you personally. They want a predictable return. They prefer fixed income over market volatility, and they are not looking for ownership or operational involvement. For the borrower, this could mean more flexible terms, lower interest rates than hard money loans, and no bank underwriting delays, faster access to capital. Still, there are some downsides to be aware of. This option is not free money and it is not risk-free. I can recall having a conversation with my friend when discussing this potential investment option, and she talked about it with her financial advisor. He's like, hold on because they can add in emotional complexity and damage the relationship. So when you are considering the people who are friends and family who could potentially invest in your business, you want to ensure that the relationship is strong so that if there are any, God forbid, delays in repayment, it does not disrupt your relationship that you value. That's why there is a need for strict professionalism so that you don't potentially strain your personal relationships. Another downside is that you have fewer built-in protections than bank loans. And that's why documentation matters so much. So if you don't feel comfortable enforcing the promissory note with your friends and family, then you shouldn't use this option. Now, private loans can be used for gaps in financing, renovations, equipment purchases, and a short-term bridge to funding. They often pair well with the other types of financing like seller financing, bank loans, SBA loans. And just like seller financing, this approach works well when the terms are clear, when expectations are aligned, and everyone really understands the risk. Now let's get to one of the most known ways, which is bank financing. So once you understand seller financing and private lending, bank financing makes more sense. Banks are just structured institutional versions of the same concept. They want predictability, they want collateral, and they want to be repaid. Okay. So the difference is that banks use liens and friends and family use trust plus documentation. Now let's talk a little bit more about bank financing because this is where people get intimidated, especially when you're trying to fund a laundromat, because many banks say that they don't like laundromats because they are cash heavy, they're operationally intensive, they're unfamiliar to traditional lenders. That said, our experience was different. We received $350,000 initially, then an additional $150,000 later for a total of $500,000 from a bank with no down payment. Now, there's an important clarification because this funding was not for the acquisition. When we were talking to the banks, they clarified that and wouldn't issue the loan until we became owners. So the funding was for renovation estimates, permit approval, equipment upgrades, and that distinction really matters a lot to banks. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a personal guarantee because this is one important piece of bank financing. A personal guarantee means if the business cannot repay the loan, then you, my friend, are personally responsible. So that is why I think we had so much leverage in this laundromat purchase because we are physicians who are in a really strong financial position. And we had to sign a personal guarantee for our bank loans. And banks often require this for small businesses, closely held businesses, or first-time operators. However, having strong personal finances make this much easier. Here was my approach to finding a bank. The first bank that we reached out to was Easter Funding. If you've been researching anything about a laundromat, then you know that Easter Funding is well known in the laundromat space. They specialize in laundromats, car washes, equipment-heavy businesses. So I spoke with them mainly to get a foundation of like, what is my last resort? I wanted to understand how much they would actually lend, their interest rates, down payment requirements, term length, prepayment penalties, and this gave me a baseline. Then as a step 2, I went to local banks and credit unions. I avoided large national banks like Chase or Bank of America initially, and I sent a crafted introductory email that included my name, my occupation, a brief overview of the laundromat that we were intending to purchase and what the funding was for, renovations, not acquisition, how the funding would be used, and why the project was low risk. Because the loan was for renovations, banks could place primary liens on equipment. A primary lien means that the bank gets paid first if something goes wrong. And that, my friend, reduces their risk and makes them more comfortable. Now, I also spoke with banks who offered SBA loans. And these loans include SBA 7A and SBA 504 loans. They can offer longer terms, lower interest rates, lower down payments. In our case, an SBA loan was not a better offer, so we did not move forward with them. But with the bank that we found, we negotiated a 6.5% interest, 7-year term, first year interest-only payments. We also had access to the funds through a draw account. So $500,000 available, and we drew from it whenever we needed it. Remember, this meant that the interest only accrued on what we drew. So I delayed drawing funds to try to minimize the interest. And that flexibility really mattered a lot. Now, you have to recall that banks are busy. So if you want financing, follow up, be polite, call, visit in person. I would check in regularly, ask about their families, build relationships. Another reason banks wanted to work with us was for our own personal assets. Yes, they wanted our business banking, but they wanted some personal cash held there and potential future relationships. There were even conversations about refinancing our mortgage, consolidating accounts. So think about what you bring to the table beyond just this request for the loan. And when you are applying for the loan, banks will ask for a personal financial statement. This includes your monthly income, assets, liability, a net worth calculation, and you may need to update this regularly. When we requested the additional $150,000, I had to submit an updated statement. So if you plan to borrow, make this a habit, update it monthly and know your numbers. The banks also want financial projections and a business plan. So if you don't yet own a laundromat, your projections should be market-based. Here's how to do that. So you go and you visit local laundromats where you want to purchase yours. Document the square footage, the machine sizes that they have. Are they 20-pound machines, 30-pound machines, 60-pound machines? Pricing per wash and dry. Additional services like ozone or additional washes, soaps, things of that nature, press irons. And you want to estimate machine usage. Average turns per day is about 3. Some markets see 5 to 6. Then you also want to estimate revenue streams. Self-serve, wash and fold, commercial contracts, pickup and delivery, revenue. This was mind-blowing when I had talked to one laundromat owner about how much he makes in a year. From pickup and delivery, his revenue alone reached $60,000 per month. My gosh, that's revenue, not profit, but hey, it matters, okay? So you definitely want to research margins, Google average laundromat margins, and look at utility costs, rent, labor, because all of these are going to be included in your projections. You want to make sure that your projections include revenue, operating expenses, debt service, cash flow, and a break-even analysis. Now, there are multiple ways to finance a laundromat: cash, seller financing, bank loans, SBA loans, or a combination of all of them. Seller financing, private investors, and banks are all just different ways of answering the same question. Who is willing to lend you money and under what terms? But really, when you're looking for financing, what matters most is preparation. So if this video helped you to get prepared for your next conversation with a lender, I want you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. And if you have any questions of what we did for our projections, the letters that we sent, the emails, then put them below. I'm happy to help you along this journey. And until next time, people, stay wealthy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.